Hey everybody, and welcome to Revealing God Television. My name is Roland, and I'm super excited to be joining you guys this morning. This has been a long time coming, so bear with me. If I make some mistakes, please bear with me. This is the first time, this is the first video we're making. And I thought maybe we just start the video by telling you guys a bit more about us. So we are Revealing God Ministries, situated in Worcester, South Africa, and we have a passion for three things. Basically, we want to equip the saints to know God intimately, love Him passionately, and serve Him faithfully. So we are NPO, and this is basically all we do. So all our content, all our resources are geared toward this common goal: helping the saints know God intimately, love Him passionately, and serve Him faithfully. So with that in mind, last week we started a Bible study um, entitled A Look at Jesus. So it's a look, Luke, at Jesus. Excuse me. The idea behind the Bible study is for us to just take a look at the life, the words, and works of Jesus as described in the Gospel of Luke. So last week we started by setting the table, if you will, for the the rest of the Bible study by asking, I think it's 5 basic questions. So firstly, we asked the question, what is the Gospel of Luke? Sorry. Um, who wrote the Gospel of Luke? We asked, who is the intended audience of the Gospel of Luke? Then we asked, when was the Gospel of Luke written? And lastly, we asked the question, why was the Gospel of Luke written? So last week when we started our Bible study, we only had the opportunity to discuss one of those questions. The first question is, what is the Gospel of Luke? And this is what today's video is going to be about. I just want to share with you guys the highlights of what we shared with each other last week. Before I do that, though, for those of you who don't know, just check out our Facebook page for dates and times of our events, so that you can tune in. Hopefully, you can benefit from these events and the content we give out on a weekly basis. We really want you guys to be blessed and to grow in your walk with the Lord, even as we pursue God together and grow together as a community as well. So, as I said, we're going to set the table by asking the first question, what is the Gospel of Luke? This was an interesting one because normally, as Christians, there's a lot of questions or a lot of issues that we take as self-evident. And that's why I thought it would be important for us to start with these 5 basic questions, just to examine what we already know, what we already think we know regarding the Gospel of Luke, or even regarding the Bible in general as well. So in terms of what is the Gospel of Luke, there's a couple of things we could say about this. First, we could just say that it's a book in the Bible. That's a acceptable answer. Second, we could say that it's a gospel, so it's a book about good news. I thought it important, however, for us to make this important distinction. The Gospel of Luke is it's a biography. So for those of you who don't know what a biography is, even I had to go and look it up just to make sure I had my definitions right. So I went to the Encyclopedia of Britannica, and they define a biography as follows. They say a biography is a form of literature commonly considered non-fictional, the subject of which is the life of an individual, one of the oldest forms of literary expression. It seeks to recreate in words the life of a human being, as understood from the historical or personal perspective of the author, by drawing upon the available evidence, including that retained in memory, as well as written, oral, and pictorial material. So there's a couple of words, it's a long definition, but there's a couple of words that stand out for me. It says it's commonly considered non-fictional. That's an important word for me, which means that if the Gospel of Luke is a biography, it is a non-fictional account of the life of Jesus, which means the things described in this account actually happened. They weren't made up. This isn't fairy tale, this isn't Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, this is actual events. Now, of course, there are some things we find in the Gospels and even in the Bible that might prompt us to interpret the Bible as a fictional piece of content, particularly the miracles. I hope in the future we might be able to do a series on why miracles are plausible in the context of the New Testament. But I maybe just want to give you a brief idea behind why, even though there are miracles in the Gospels, we can still consider them accurate biographies. So it all comes down to the fact that if there's a God that created the universe out of nothing, miracles are possible. Because the biggest miracle has already happened. God created the universe out of nothing. So if there's a God, if Jesus' claims to be God are true, miracles are possible. Then the miracle accounts we find in the book of Luke, they are just normal accounts out of the life of Jesus, because he is God. But that is something we need to discuss maybe on a later date more in detail to see if he was God. Firstly, did he claim to be God? Did he prove to be God? But that's a topic for another time. So we say it's non-fictional. It's about the subject which is related to the life of an individual. So we know that the Gospel of Luke is about the life, the words and works of Jesus. One of the oldest forms of literary expression, it seeks to recreate in words the life of a human being as understood from the historical or personal perspective of the author. That's an important one for me. So the Gospel of Luke looks to recreate the life of Jesus from the historical and the personal perspective of the author. Historical is the one I want to focus on. If something is historical, then that means we can trace it back in history. We can actually go and check out the documents, the archaeology, to see, did these things really happen? And this is important for us as Christians, because many of us don't know. As Christians, we have a unique advantage over all the other religions in the world, in that we can actually go back to history to test the claims of the Bible, to see if they are true, especially the New Testament, especially the claims regarding the life, the words and works of Jesus. So we actually have proof. We have good evidence for what we believe, but many of us don't know it. So I hope even throughout the study, if we can maybe just equip ourselves a little bit with regards to the actual evidence for the reliability of the Bible and the truthfulness of Jesus' claims to be God, then even that would have been enough for me. Then I would be happy with what we have achieved with the study. Then we also say that the author of the biography draws upon evidence, all available evidence. So it draws upon memory, it draws upon written and oral, and even pictorial material. So as we're gonna see later in the book of Luke clearly states that he investigated the matters surrounding Jesus' life and all the things he did on earth. He investigated it carefully. So he looked at evidence in the form of written accounts, other gospels, or other biographies, and also of oral accounts. So we interviewed witnesses to see if the things that have been claimed actually happened. So this is basically all we spoke about last week, that the Gospel of Luke is a biography. It's a non-fictional account of the life of Jesus based on historical facts such as written and oral eyewitness testimonies. And this is all we want to leave with you guys today. We're going to get together this afternoon again just to go further with the study, to ask the question. Okay, so we know what the Gospel of Luke, we know it's a biography. Now we need to ask the question, so who wrote the Gospel of Luke? Who wrote this biography? And this question I'm particularly excited about, because when I asked Christians, like, who wrote the Gospel of Luke, the obvious answer is Luke. And then when I ask a follow-up question, but how do you know Luke wrote the Gospel of Luke? They don't know, because Luke never identifies himself. So there's an interesting way we need to go about to determine, firstly, who wrote the book of Luke, and if it is Luke, who was Luke according to the Bible? And how do we know it was Luke that wrote the Gospel of Luke? This is important information. Because sometimes, you know, what happens is, and I wanna close with this. I wanna tell the story. I don't wanna tell a story. I wanna refer to the account of Adam and Eve. So when Satan comes to Eve, and he asked her the question, did God really say you can't eat from the tree? And if you do, you will surely die. So then she answers by saying, yeah, God said we can't eat and we can't even touch it. Immediately when she said, God said we can't even touch it, she is showing the devil that she doesn't know what God said. The moment we don't know what God said, we open up gaps in our understanding and in our faith as well, to be attacked, to be deceived. So it's important to know the what the Bible says, but it's also important to know why it says certain things. So it's not just enough for us to know what we believe. We need to know why we believe what we believe. We live in a generation where truth is continually attacked. It's continually being redefined as there's no absolute truth anymore. It's a relative truth. So truth is whatever you want it to be. So I have my truth and you have your truth. This is the society we live in. This is the time we live in. So I wanna encourage us all to equip ourselves in the truth, because the Bible is clear. Jesus says He is the way, the truth, and the life. He also goes as far in John 17 to say that He prays for His disciples. He prays for us when He asks the Father to sanctify them in truth. Thy word is truth. The Bible is the truth. But we need to know why it is the truth. We need to be able to defend the truth, especially in an increasingly relativistic society. So guys, I hope you've been blessed by the session. And I'll speak to you guys next time. For any of you guys that live in the Woolsey area, you're more than welcome to join us this afternoon. We actually have 2 events this afternoon. Firstly, we have the Sacred Worship live stream on Facebook. That's going to be between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And then from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we're going to have a look at Jesus Bible study. Continue for an hour from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So be blessed, and see you guys soon.